Hello there. My topic today is Introduction to Progressive Web App, PWA for short. This video is intended to be just an introduction to inspire you to use and get to know with PWA is a gold standard for developing modern web applications. Can't deny that new web technologies emerge every day, but one web trend that is among one of the hottest in the business world for developers to engage more users, boost KPIs, and stay competitive in the market is PWA. But what is PWA? What is this weird acronym? But when did it become a trend? So let's go over the brief history of it and go to the answer. What really is PWA?
During the first iPhone launch, Steve Jobs introduced the visionary idea of how web apps behave like a native app to the world. However, Apple discarded the idea in favor of a new SDK to build better performing native iOS apps following the launch of the App Store, which eventually led to a financial success. So instead, in 2015, Google Chrome designer Francis Byrne and developer Felix Russell coined the term progressive web apps to describe apps taking advantage of new features supported by modern browsers. It was also introduced at Google Chrome Dev Summit in the same year. The word progressive essentially means the next step of web apps. Yeah, the technology is a rehash of the discarded idea of Apple, but with modern opportunities. Since then, Google and Microsoft have actively been promoting the concept of PWAs to bridge the gaps between web and native apps. After that, and as the industry switched towards the mobile-first approach, more and more companies had an opportunity to explore PWA for early adoption. The company KPIs highlight several benefits offered by just switching to PWA. Most of them were rewarded with huge success. So let's see the examples. KPIs are for, in business context, are for measurable benefits. For the first example, eBay in 2019 loaded 100 milliseconds faster, resulted in 0.5 increase in add to cart count, and for Weekend Desk, 2.5 times as much conversion rate from installed PWA. It showed that semi-engaged users convert more. Semi-engaged users are users definitely not installing your app, but they visit your site instead. And there are many more case studies and success stories you can look at pwastats.com. And this fact might sound convincing to you to switch to PWA yet. So back to the question. What really is PWA? It is just a philosophy to develop a modern web app to bring native capabilities to a web app. It had been considered as a standardization effort by Google, and for certification by Google, your app has to meet certain criteria by Google, such as Lighthouse tools. Let's get into the core features and principles of PWA. The baseline 3 pillars are the key characteristics of all PWAs. They are designed to be capable, reliable, and installable. PWAs are quite capable today on top of existing web capabilities. For example, you can track users with geolocation. There are to match native capabilities, starting with push notifications and the future with the introduction of WebAssembly. capabilities for PWA will grow even bigger while exploring new ecosystems like C++ or Rust. They are reliable in such a way that they are fast and dependable regardless of connectivity. PWAs are designed to be offline first and even work in flaky or Wi-Fi connection. Just like platform-specific apps, they are installable with Add to Home Screen feature. Installed PWAs run in a standalone dedicated window, so it's possible to find them in the App Switcher. Apart from the three pillars as mentioned, there are other key features for PWA as well. For example, they are discoverable, can easily be found through search engine, they are SEO friendly, so developers don't have to worry about that, and they are linkable, they can easily be shared by sending URLs, and they are engaging. They are on the home screen, they keep users engaged with notifications, and this eventually results in more conversion rate for business and automatic updates as well. No need for approvals by the stores such as Google Play Store and App Store, and you can deliver new patches, content updates instantly on the web. And for instance, A/B testing can easily be done with separate versions on just servers.
To add for installability, you can see all these UI elements popping up in Google Chrome or Safari. For example, for this mobile on iOS is Safari and the other two are from Chrome. So here's the gist of PWA. Technically, the three components of PWA that make your app qualified for PWA criteria by Google Chrome. Three of them are service worker, manifest, and secure context. You can see that the service worker is next to the heart, which means the service worker is the heart of PWA essentially, and secure contexts are just HTTPS on the web that Google requires you to have as a security standard. So I'll focus on these two, service worker and manifest, starting with app manifest. App manifests are essentially a metadata of your web app, defining how the user experiences your app, just like native app. It contains like the icon here, which you can specify as many icons as you like, and the app name here, and the short name for appearing on the launch screen or home screen or whatever, and splash screen, which contains the icon and the name on mobile, but I don't know for the other things, and this will be contained in a JSON file as a standard for Google Chrome and Opera, but it will be specified in the head tag of a HTML homepage, which you will be starting with a start URL, and this display parameter standalone, and this background color for this splash, theme color as well for in mobile. In Android there will be like the task switcher, and theme color are basically the tab color above the app preview. And for the service worker, this is the most important one for PWA. Is essentially a script on the client side. It is JavaScript, right, running in the background of the browser, and it runs as it serves as a background worker for push notifications and background sync with the server if there is a connectivity, but if not, it helps with caching when offline. So you can see that the code above, you have to install the service worker first, It is taken from JS30K PWA by MDN tutorial. And the second one is you're fetching the content using your service worker. This is when the service worker intercept and handle page requests, and it will respond with a cache if the server is down or the client is offline, and this will retrieve the cache stored in the client browser. So browser support for service worker. This is essentially a baseline for what really support PWA for Chrome since version 40, seems like in 2015 or 2016, around that, and Safari since 11.1. I don't know, it is equipped with iOS, and for Firefox since version 44, and Edge, which has to be Edge based on the Chromium engine, which shares the same engine with Chrome, but the Chrome is a fork of Chromium with Blink, and it has been there since version 17, but I don't know what it has come in the current version of the Edge or not, so you better check that out. So if you're using more modern JavaScript framework, there's some built-in support for them as well, especially in their CLIs. In React, Vue, Angular, they have their own CLIs, right? So you can equip your app with PWAs in that process during you creating or building your app within CLI. For example, in React, create React app CLI command can equip you with PWA with built-in library, and Vue as well. Just add Vue the PWA, or you can use CLI command Vue add PWA, and the Angular has the same command as the similar commands as Vue, but it with different CLI, with their own CLI. So let's take a look at this PWA demo. We'll demonstrate the app in Chrome using Google criteria for PWA. This app was named SKE, used in SOS Camp, which is a prep camp for software engineering freshmen in 2019, and the app was written with the Nuxt framework on top of Vue.js framework, and this app uses Nuxt PWA library to help generate the required PWA components, mainly service worker and manifest. You can see this screenshot, which we will demonstrate in the other screen soon. And right now, the demo, you can see the site, and you can click install on them on the box. There's an install icon there, and if you click install, it will create two things. It will create a standalone window, and it will create an icon for you to launch, and they are just like native apps with their standalone window, and you can see app info, and this is a linkable feature of PWA. You can copy URL and send it to your other peers, and they can also install your progressive web app as well, and you can open in browser, and you can click uninstall on them just like any other native apps. It will remove the icon as well. And if we're looking at the other section, which is Lighthouse section. The Lighthouse section on the web tools, and click generate report and waiting for it to audit. And the Lighthouse tool will basically tells you whether your site is performant enough, and you can see the progressive web app section there, and it tells you the criteria or the checklist of a progressive web app to be qualified on Chrome. And the first requirement is installable, to be installable like a native app. If your Chrome qualify this as installable, it will have an install icon there on the Omni box, and the other requirements, and you can see that it wants you that this page does not work really offline, so you should work around that. After Chrome 93, it will not work anymore, and it will not qualify your site to be progressive web app, and so you should keep an eye on that. And there are other requirements as well, such as we mentioned earlier, that it requires a service worker, right? So this tells you that you have to register your service worker, and you have to specify start URL in the manifest. And if you're having your real site, you should use HTTPS, as we told you earlier that you should run your site in secure context and configure for its custom splash screen is from the manifest, and theme color from the manifest as well. And content size, this is responsiveness of the site. This is a criterion for PWA as well. This report type is responsiveness as well, and this is the icon from the manifest. And let's learn more about the progressive web app directly from Google. It tells you the checklist, and you can go to this site. I think they update. They will periodically update this site, so keep an eye on that when they change the criteria for PWA. Fast, engaging, and responsive and installable are still the requirements. The three pillars still works here, and they are optimal checklists to make your site better, make your users have a better user experience for progressive web app, in which you provide them offline experience, fully accessibility to pass WCAG by WT consortium, and can be discovered, as we mentioned, this is a discoverable and works with any input type. And best practices for healthy code, this is from Google, right? Google wants clean code or something like that. And this is pretty much in detail about this. And if you go straight to the HTML on the head tag, and with the manifest, we can see that it contains manifests here, and it tells you the full name, the short name, or to appear in your home screen or in your launch area, something on desktop, both on desktop and mobile. And you can specify your parameters here to track your users, whether they are from PWA or the regular site. The display standalone means a standalone window, we can install them. And background color, theme color, and etc. So if you're installing them, it will run as a separate window. Like a native app, it also has like an icon to click as well. And you can also install them, uninstall them. And that is pretty much it about. Oh, and I forgot another thing to talk about, which is there is an application tab here which tell you three things about manifests, service worker, and storage, but we will focus on manifests and service workers for PWA. And you can tick off for offline, and when you say offline, whether your site are offline first or not. And you can see the manifest, the icons, requirements that you seen earlier in the lighthouse. And yeah, this is real pretty much it for the demo. So let's go back into next section of our video, drawbacks of PWA. And yeah, despite its several benefits and it improves KPIs of many more businesses, there are still drawbacks of PWA. And yeah, obviously the first one, no app stores, right? So you should beware of its legitimacy, especially when you collect your profit from the app on Apple, which you bypass the App Store. You should be aware of that. And lack of supervision by Apple or Google. This essentially means you have to be really careful of security concerns there, because there is no supervision by those authorities. In the App Store, there will be like supervision, and your app should be verified and should be notarized by those authorities before it can be publicly published on the store. But this has no such things like that. There are attempts for Chrome as well. There are like Chrome app stores which you can install PWAs in there, but it is strong. It's not as strong as the App Store or Play Store there. And there are still not so many functionalities out there, despite the capability pillar which it boasts about, but it still lags behind native apps. And yeah, native apps has the most capabilities on example mobile phone. If you're using fingerprint technology, you still have to develop native apps on iOS or Android devices. And for browser limitations, PWAs are Android-centric. And for the latest capabilities, you have to use it on Chrome. You have developed it on Chrome, and you have tested it on Chrome. And for other browsers, they are still like behind for those latest capabilities promoted by Google. But other browsers are still keeping up with these features these days, especially Opera. But Opera working closely with Google, but for Safari and Edge might not be keep up with the latest capabilities standardized by Google enough. For Safari, there is still no push notifications there, which is a requirement for PWA, right? So you should be thoughtful of that. That's for PWA. For the references you can look you can learn more about is the first one is PWA Book by Divante. This is essentially a brief introduction to PWA, which essentially tells you the nuts and bolts of PWA to get you started with PWA, and you get to know what PWA really is. But this is not like in-depth technical details will not be there. For technical details, I suggest you to refer directly to Google site on the later two of this, which on the web.dev by Google and on Google developers site. And this will tells you all the details of PWA standardized by Google and the latest trends from Google to issue for PWAs. And this is pretty much it all of this video, and I hope you find this well for PWA. And yeah, so if you're building a website in 2021 with quick user reach without any goals in mind, just try aiming for PWA might be a right choice for you. So thank you for your attention. Hope we will see each other again, and see you around.